a deity to whom we refer, whom we believe to be the controlling power of all creation. For a God is not merely the God of a people or the God of a man. He is the God of the whole universe. So always gods with maturity have become universal. For the wisdom of man and his intuition knew that unless there was something that transcended himself and transcended his party and his family and his nation, they would be ruled by bigotry and by prejudice and by arbitrary exercise of individual initiative. So we make God sovereign guiding power. And Samuel takes his problem to a higher court of reference. For if it had been referred to him, would he have sacrificed his own strength? Would he have suffered his own diminishment? Would he have listened in his elderly years to a people decrying his reign and making his life a failure? Only through a man who had a concept of being a servant of something that transcended all could you possibly have such understanding, such appreciation, and such tolerance. And this still remains true in our day. And it remains true not only as a guiding principle for democracy, but obviously as a guiding principle for our individual lives and for our families. Nothing could be more stupid in our day than the diminution of religion as a way of increasing man's dignity. Nothing could be more stupid than for people to ignore the eternal call. Nothing could be more stupid for families than to reject the principle upon which their dignity rests and their hopes and achievements are founded, if they have any basis at all. And only as we are able to find something far beyond our individual and our national and our familiar needs will we be able to have any degree of real justice or of mercy or of appreciation. The second great thing that may be counted as a basis for democracy and therefore as a basis for living is this very beautifully expressed principle that every individual and every people has a right to make its own mistakes. I said that Samuel was 2,500 years before democracy. He's more than 3,500 years before any kind of general achievement of such a simple principle. The right of a man to make his own mistakes, even against God. And you will notice that in effect the people went against God. For God said, they do not violate you, Samuel, they violate me. And this was Samuel's way of saying that he was only an instrument. And that when the people rejected him, they were not worried about him as a person, they were seeking something more fundamental and basic. And so he was able to lift the problem above himself. And this was the way that he found out of his own chagrin and his own possibility of resentment and jealousy. But they also went against God, and God said they have a right to make their own decisions. The very best that you can do is tell them all the possibilities. You make the picture as black as you can possibly make it, as far as you see the truth. And then you listen to their voice. I say we have not yet achieved this, for we do not give such freedom and such honor to ourselves or to our children or to our husbands and wives or to our friends. The right to make a mistake. And there can be no dignity without this right. And it was clear that the people were wrong. For they said, we want to have a king who will fight our battles for us. We want a king who will glorify us. We want a king who will represent us in his majesty, so that we will not be belittled among all the people who have such glorious rulers. They wanted an easy way to honor and to dignity, and they gave up their honor and their dignity and their ignorance of seeking it in the wrong way. No easy answer here. And so frequently we walk away from the obvious glory and beauty to seek it in false fashions. But they had the right to make their own mistake. And only through the making of mistakes does anyone really grow in wisdom and in stature and in the favor of God and his fellow man. If we could be as wise in our day with our children and with our friends, so that we did not assume that we could tell them what to do, so that we would not react in bitterness and resentment when they reject our understanding, our wisdom, or our appreciations, so that we will be able to say to people who ask of us, these are the things I see, but you do as you wish. Thirdly, the fundamental and important element of all religion as I understand it and of all good living is that man can and must make his own decisions. That man can and must find his own salvation. I say 3,500 years. Our religious leadership today has less faith in the capacity of man to find his own salvation than it had in the day of Samuel, at least with regard to the Jewish people. For we live in a time, and our whole religion has been characterized in large part by an utter diminution of the capacity of man to decide for himself. It is undoubtedly on this basis that we have so little respect for our children's judgment or our friends, for we have been trained to believe that we do not know, we cannot know, and that we cannot feel, and that our feelings, when we have them, are wrong.